okay, I thought it wasn't. Oh, I thought it wasn't playing music. I was like, what?
We're off to a great start.
Oh, the Knight Errant himself. Oh, have you been watching from the galley, Mr. Shlomes? I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Courtroom trials are fascinating affairs. As a spectator, at least. I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself.
You have to get in there before he starts talking.
I have to ask. What on earth is going on? It makes no sense. What's this professor business about? He doesn't look like any professor I've met before. Who is he? Right. You were in Germany already 10 years ago. Yes, the professor. And I discovered he was the one who had been abducted. A sense of foreboding stirred within me. But who knew the monster would come knocking at your door? Our heartfelt sympathies. Kyle, insert Kyle laugh here. As it turns out, Lord Van Zieks is even more intimately tied to this case than any of us realize, isn't he?
How true. It's great for him from university, in the dock.
And now a waxwork of the killer who took his esteemed brother's life makes an appearance too. Imagine even the shrewd Mr. Reaper failed to foresee that kick in the teeth. An extraordinary move on your part, my dear fellow, to throw that in front of the man. You make it sound deliberate.
I can't help feeling that this professor case is really very puzzling.
Oh, hold on.
I wonder.
Oh, hold on. Hold on a second. You guys have a camera on.
You just noticed?
No, I just completely forgot that they had a camera on. So let's just throw that in there. Hi, you're on.
Cam.
There's no special event on right now. We're just like, we're not cosplaying today. We're just.
I have a titty T-shirt. That's about it.
I just have a.
Shit! I gotta put the sensor on.
Yes. Censor them.
Oh, holy shit! I need to see this.
If he didn't move so much, you know what I would have done? I would just put the doggos right over you. But now forget it. Whatever. It's not actual.
They're not actual titties.
No, it's fine. All right, Shulms. I've spoken in a long.
Oh, you have the new screen layout.
Middies. Mr. Shlomes.
All right. Yes, in what particular manner?
Well, there's Mr. Driver, Dr. Sid, and Lord Van Zieks. It seems that everybody in the trial has linked to the case somehow.
Yes, in fact, I alone am not a member of the set. Oh, that leaves me empty as an empty set, all alone with no intersection to any other.
Rip.
Oh, hi. Oh, it's you. Dr. Scythe.
Dr. Courtney Scythe. What? Nay?
Nay Stevens.
Nay Stevens. Good day to you.
Hello, Queen.
Hello, Sholmes. That was very shrewd of you.
Well, what in particular, pray?
You requested that your autopsy report from Gregson, didn't you?
Would you assume such a thing?
Because Gregson told me.
Yeah, that'd do it.
To think, it's been 10 years. 10 years in the laboratory, wielding my scalpel. I smell of nothing but corpses and infecting.
The policeman on the jury had a lot to say about you as it happens, Dr. Scythe. And I've accused you of being complicit with the English. I'm hoping you'll take the stand and tell the truth about what really happened.
That certainly won't be possible. Lord Venzies won't be summoned as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it.
Lord Strong bitch?
The Pandora's box you were warned about is the professor's case. But please, don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it out of me.
But attempting to hide the truth, that's cowardice.
I've always fought crime in the way I see fit. I have no regrets, none at all. And that's all I came here to say.
Bitch, you came all the way here just to say that.
So, good day to you.
What the hell?
I 100%
Well, thank you.
would also be that petty.
She mentioned it too. This Pandora's box.
Whatever does it all mean?
There's really no cause for concern, I assure you, but... Very well then, I'll be cut off. The meaning will become all too apparent, whether you'd like it to or not.
Sorry, Sholmes, Mr. Sholmes, I didn't catch that last part. What are you about to say?
Don't worry about it.
Guess you'll never find out now, Rhinoscape. Lance.
Now then, I believe it's almost time.
Wait.
I must make my way back to the public gallery. The edge of my seat awaits.
I think maybe you're enjoying yourself a little too much.
Ah yes, one word of warning before I go. If, in the course of the trial this afternoon, you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. To the bitter end, you understand, and do not falter, whatever may come to pass.
Alright, I understand. Thank you. Also, you didn't answer that question I said ask earlier! What did you say earlier?
No. Now then, I shall make myself scarce then. I purchased a bar of caramel earlier, so I shall be known on that as you all await the truth.
Wait, did that say Sholmes Caramel? What did that warning from Mr. Sholmes really mean, I wonder? Especially the bit about whatever may come to pass. Also, I didn't answer my fucking question! That bitch! It's time for the final chapter then. The one that Mr. Slums didn't answer my damn question about. I'm determined to find the truth. Even if it
And
means
I never
shooting him.
will.
No matter what.
Maybe if you would the hot truth from Mr. Sholmes.
In the name of His Majesty the King, blah 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 blah. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready to able to continue?
The prosecution is ready, my lord.
Da! Eyes here. As the court is aware, the case is under scrutiny, beginning with a damaging incident at the Great Exhibition. Yet now we find ourselves embroiled in the details of a convicted felon who was sent to the gallows a decade ago. This trial has certainly defied all expectation.
That seems to be the fate of all trials in which this Nipponese is involved, my lord.
So then, let us begin with our explanation of the defense's assertion that the has already found the matter. Thanks!
My lord?
Are still awaiting the arrival of Madame Mills?
Not at all. She is in the antechamber at this beat and ready to be summoned.
Oh, he has his friend.
Well, bring the witness!
He never had his friend now.
Yeah, he has an assistant now.
He has his friend.
Bella, show Madame two spells to the stand.
No, fuck you! Things are about to become a lot more intense. Whichever is responsible, as I'm sure he is, it means that he must have an accomplice in Dr. Scythe.
And what connects the pair of them?
Yes, the model of the professor. That's the key to the link between these otherwise unrelated individuals. The tenuous link, admittedly, but at present it's all we have to go on.
Oh boy! We have to look at that law court now. State your name and occupation for the court, please.
My name is Madame Esmeralda Tuspels. I am a waxwork artisan and the proprietress of Madame Tuspels Museum of Waxwork. You have to pardon me for working inside Mr. Fire. My new exhibit must open very soon.
Us two, right? Okay. Us two.
Oh, so he finally gets a statue, does he? Now there are two of them in the world.
Oh no.
Oh my. What expression is she carving onto that face?
A number of days ago, a particular waxwork model was stolen from the museum. Can you confirm this?
Oui, that is true. We believed it had been kidnapped.
Oh, the model kidnapped. What the fuck?
Yes, my lord. There was a demand for ransom money left behind by the culprit. However, according to what I have just been told outside the courtroom, that was not the true reason. I understand it was utilized as a substitute for the body of a murder victim.
At present, that is no more than conjecture proposed by the defense. This is the victim of the case in question, Mr. Yasmin.
But of course, I know him well. He's part of my odious personage is exhibit. I detest to say what is evident, but Mr. Asmund does not resemble the professor at all.
Yes, but perhaps their faces are very similar.
Are you suggesting that we should see now the dearest visage of the professor? Professor?
The professor?
He is the key, but it is strictly forbidden to open the lock.
This is absurd. Van Zieks just wants to see his face.
Pardon?
I don't know what face you've carved onto your fancy figure beneath the mask. But clearly, it won't be that of the actual killer.
Indeed. The man's identity was never made public after all.
The trial took place in a closed court. The proceedings were strictly confidential. The condemned man was summarily executed. His identity remains a closely guarded national secret. There is no possible way that a repository of tawdry exhibits could get its hand on that information. Bitch!
Quite dommage. It would seem you are unaware of the Tuspel's principles.
What? There were principles? You didn't tell me this earlier.
What a pity.
What a pity, quite a pity.
The family Tuspels has always prided itself on sculpting its models to perfection. Every detail, including the visage, is faxing with complete fidelity. Et voila, our principles.
There is a well-known legend about the Tespos being waxworks from the time of the French Revolution. A member of the Tespos family is said to have made a waxwork of the Queen who's executed.
Oui, that is true. It was a century ago now.
I believe the Queen's face was carved in the minutes following her death, actually, at the guillotine setting.
You are correct. The model is on display still today at the House of Horrors. We Tuspels will stop at nothing to obtain a faithful replica of the subject.
There may a somewhat disturbing tendency of purpose.
It is the only way to obtain a truly lifelike representation, and it has been my family's secret for generations.
Do you mean to say that beneath that mask?
Oui, the true visage of the killer is there.
This is ludicrous. It's out of the question.
The professor spread terror throughout Great Britain. As a result, the Madame Tuspel special exhibit remains extremely popular even today. The killer emerging from his own grave is a sight to behold. You should come.
I think, madame, it would be beneficial to hear your formal testimony on this matter. It will explain every detail of this Macamé model, and you will personally know. I can see you two young ladies speaking in the background. What the fuck are you saying?
With pleasure.
We are talking about stuff.
What the fuck?
Okay.
Yeah.
The special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on a rumor that Shock Society in London. An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse in accordance with Goosebumps family principles. I anticipated the age of the grave digger and created a mold for the head in the cemetery just before the interment. I hid myself until he gave me a signal. I was there for a very long time that night. As dawn approached, I was very worried that I could be discovered.
I feel like you just admitted to a national felony there, ma'am. Okay.
In my section is.
I would do all that is necessary to achieve the true resemblance. Nobody else knew. Only the grave digger. What harm did it do, huh?
So you truly saw
He's
it.
gone.
The face of that monster. No, he's still there. He's just
Oh.
hiding.
I'm like,
He's hiding in the back. He's hiding in the background.
Little
He's
shoulder thing.
He's hiding behind Van Zeke's little, like, broad shoulders.
Broad shoulders. Naturally, I was aware at the time that his identity was a secret. But two spells would not be two spells if we did not insist on absolute fidelity of our two witnesses.
I don't believe this.
I myself have seen the special exhibit at your museum, madame.
Can we talk about Van Zeke's hair? Like, it looks so good, and he just has mullet.
And then it is.
Well, Vetzik's hair is pretty much a mullet.
Hair is not a mullet.
The scene it depicts was the subject of many rumors in London 10 years ago.
You know what? I feel like when you have a reputation as a reaper, your hair can be whatever you damn well please.
Honestly, fair enough.
Yeah.
I have here the newspaper from the time. Why do you just have that? The special exhibit was based upon the picture in this article. It was the most detailed account of what happened as reported by eyewitnesses who saw it.
Oh, I just saw that too.
Wow, they actually wrote a full-ass article for it.
Yep.
I was reading the article.
Yeah, they wrote an article for it.
Too absurd for words.
What are you talking about? I'm gonna fucking read it.
Yeah, just read it. It's an actual comprehensive.
No, it literally describes the event in detail.
At Loki's cemetery just behind the prison on the night of the foul demon's execution, the newly interred professor forced off his grave cover as he clawed off free of birth. The young man who witnessed the scene on the verge of raising a shriek when, in the next second, a gunshot rang out suddenly from behind. The bullet pierced through the resurrected man's chest, whose breath stilled once more. The youth finally released the scream he had been holding for and ran for his life. The university student who experienced the shocking event is Mr. Enoch Trevor, disciplined of science at the University of London and a resident of its student dorms.
Yeah, it's an actual, like, they actually wrote an entire article. It's not just bullshit.
I mean, most of these articles are bullshit.
No,
What's
but,
the
like,
ball?
No, but like if
Wait,
you're reading
wait.
in a,
I want to read this. Hold on.
Time to read this. Like,
Was the mob mask to blame for the Great Blaze? The fire that engulfed the popular theater here to draw attention as reports that Her Majesty Queen Victoria herself visited the Royal Italian Opera to inspect the site and offer words of condolences to the theater's owner, Mr. Frederick Guy. Okay, that's enough reading.
That's enough reading? Okay.
I say you go on your damn phones.
The public enjoy absurdity, monsieur. That's why I have reproduced the scene as carefully as possible in the museum.
And it's a waxwork from that exhibit that was stolen some days before the incident at the Great Exhibition, wasn't it?
correct. The professor you see before you here.
Most puzzling. Alright, counsel for the defense, do your shit. This waxwork links Trevor to Dr. Scythe. There has to be some reason for that. And yet, which hasn't yet come to light. But I'll find it. I'll get to the bottom of what really happened. And I'll figure out what those two are frickin' saying in the background. I'll prove that Dr. Scythe and Trevor were in on this crime together. And I'll figure out what the hell they were saying! Crap, they just gave me the middle finger!
Are they on camera? They know that.
I mean, the camera is on, so... And that rumor would be...
A 10-year-old tale by now, but one that no Londoner would ever forget.
Oh, right, I know just what you're talking about, I think.
Of course, it couldn't be anything else.
Yes, that story will never disappear.
The tale of the condemned killer rising from the dead. That is the central attraction of my House of Horrors. The rumor was whispered all over the city. It was like,
Who was in Locate Cemetery behind the prison? In the dead of night have to... Oh, do we actually have to... we all know what happened. I don't need to repeat.
the exposition.
Well, I didn't get any of that. It went so fast.
And then somebody shot him? Who was it?
How the hell did you read that? All that text went flying, Susato.
It was imprinted into our minds. Nobody knows, even today. But remember, it was just a rumor. Perhaps nothing more than a ghost story. The good people of London, they love stories like this. That is why it was in every newspaper across the capital.
But was it just a story? I mean, this is exactly the scene that can be seen today in a museum, isn't it?
Oui, especially as it was modeled on that very illustration. For a while afterwards, the contents of that article were reproduced in every newspaper imaginable.
Madame, might I say something?
Please, go ahead, mademoiselle.
When something is described as a rumor, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's entirely made up. I believe that often rumors contain elements of the truth.
Ah, I see that people from the East can be just as astute as the people of Europe. I feel like that's a bit...
Okay.
Can I be sure, for instance, that the professor's execution was successful?
I'm still trying to process what the fuck those flying words in the screen meant.
It is not possible for the dead to come back to life.
Ah, joke's on you. About 1,000 years later, about 100 years later, or no, about 200 years later. Sorry, yeah, about 200 years later.
1,000, 100, 200. Pick a number, Andrew.
Make up your goddamn mind, Andrew.
Sorry? The fuck did you just say?
Objection!
10 years ago, I was there in Logate Cemetery. After the criminal known as the Professor was killed by hanging, I took a wax impression of his visage from the corpse just before it was interred. So I can assure you, the man was dead.
You were 16 when you did this?
Damn.
Huh.
Jesus.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not one to judge.
Gaslight gatekeep girl boss.
Wow. I
Yeah,
see.
and then the fourth. No, you're forgetting the fourth G. Grave rob.
Oh, it's certainly apparent that the condemned man suffered the intended fate. What physics? Why are you saying shit? Is that true of every waxwork in the museum then?
It is, assuming the subject is dead, of course. Like subjects have to cooperate in a similar way. I have letters from imprisoned criminals all the time. You know,
What sort of letters?
when my time comes. Please make a waxwork of me. Come siga. Come siga. Come siga. French.
Oh.
My museum is famous, monsieur. To be made into a waxwork is an honor, and for some criminals, a symbol of this evening.
Because nothing says hardened criminal better than wax.
And it is thanks to one killer in particular that my museum has gained such popularity in London. I refer to the special exhibit, of course. The professor.
Well, whose form do you claim to have captured by taking an impression from the actual cult?
There are no exceptions to the principles of two spells. No exceptions.
Surely that's illegal, isn't it? Wait, that's illegal.
It would seem the proprietress of this repository of novelties was blinded by monetary greed.
It had nothing to do with money.
Yeah, sure.
The man is part of London's criminal history. That is why I had to stop him, to record his history. It is the raison d'etre of the Two Spells Museum.
But if the man was convicted in a closed court and sent for immediate execution, then surely nobody but the members of the judiciary present know the killer's true identity.
I assure you, behind that mask is hidden the true face of the professor.
I was gonna say, you guys taking photos of yourselves with your camera?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Do you really think we take photos of ourselves? Do you realize what you're saying? The professor's identity is a national secret.
I understand. And now the truth about the special exhibit has been revealed, it must perhaps close.
Of course it will. As will your entire museum if you don't tread very carefully, madame.
Fuck you, Van Z. That could be another interesting chapter in the history of my family, I think. Don't you? What a chipperidge.
You know what I'm saying here? Van Beeks is British, Tuspels is French. Who else is British and French?
Oh, fucking hell. Why did we literally just, we gave Van Zeeks a gun. We gave Van Zeeks a little bit extra golden retriever energy and a gun. And we gave Madame Two Spells magic, blood magic, and trauma.
Andrew, that doesn't get it. This is our D&D characters.
And
Cammy's is French and mine is British.
Yes, Celia and Soda French.
And Jeanette is very British.
And they're from rival families.
So what you're telling me is that you're both British, that you're British and she's French. Whoa.
Oh. Oui, exactement.
Not like we planned that.
Oh.
You were there longer than you expected to be?
I had some difficulties in capturing the subject's form correctly. As I removed the mask, the mouth of the cadaver fell open, and I had some problems with the chin.
Dare I ask?
The man had been dead for a short while already, you see. His muscles were relaxing and his chin did not allow itself for days.
Oh dear, what a horrible thought.
Under normal circumstances, I would have an assistant with me. However, that night I was alone, and as a consequence, I missed my preferred window of time.
What do you mean?
When I did the impression of the visage of a cadaver, I always wait until 3 hours after death.
Why 3 hours? Is that amount of time significant?
It is because of rigor mortis.
Wriggly Mortis?
It's a name given to a phenomenon that occurs in recently deceased bodies. As a rule, 3 hours post-death, the muscles in the body begin to stiffen. By approximately 10 hours post-death, the entire body is completely rigid and inflexible. And then from that point on, the muscles slowly start to revert to their relaxed state. The effect is often used to estimate the time of death when a body is discovered.
So what you're saying, Kyle, if you don't mind.
If you don't mind.
Wait, what am I doing?
A body has been discovered!
A body has been discovered!
Yes.
Well, that was an education, if a slightly scary one. Oh, he's just so like, wow, that was an education. Even if it was
Look
pretty
at the
scary.
look Susano's giving him. Susano's just giving him the
Sir.
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 Don't make me
Did-
poke your eye out.
Did you hear that creepy sound? Did you hear that creepy sound that said a body has been discovered?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I did.
So don't look behind us and just keep going?
Exactly, yep.
Or maybe you're just going insane.
Don't look out the windows either. As the memo says, rigor mortis commences 3 hours after death and it starts in the jaw.
So that's why you wait.
Before that time, the mouth falls open and it is very difficult to do my work.
Ugh, it's getting hard for me to do my work with all this talk of corpses.
You are literally a lawyer who deals with murders.
I wonder about that information the courts just heard from Mansbell. The information about rigor mortis that you just shared with us. Wow, disturbing. Would you mind including it in your formal testimony? I believe it could be significant, you see.
Of course, I do not mind at all.
I can't help feeling that after this latest topic, this man the court has become extremely grave.
Susano.
My bean, I love her so much.
Become quite grave. I love how she's so perky about it.
Making a joke.
But
Sorry, my thing isn't working right now. My thing isn't working, sorry.
It's okay. We got it.
We
But
got you.
Do you want to become another body has been discovered, Susato?
I'm removing myself from the situation. What the fuck did you discover?
Fuck just happened over there?
I'm just gonna send the screenshot to you. Just hold up.
Is that a TikTok? I just look over and it's just like,
Please check almost Templars. We're sorry. You can continue. Just please check.
I'm gonna be.
really though.
Oh my god, you have so many notifications. Get rid of your TikTok notifications. Oh my god. What? Do people just send you things and you never open them?
Yeah.
This is no time for jokes, Mrs. Otto. It was also a bad joke. Madame, kindly amend your testimony as discussed.
Jesus Christ, I was not expecting that.
Bien sûr.
Is that significant?
He does. He does look good bent over a desk.
I mean, you're not wrong.
You say that dawn was approaching? What was the time of day then, approximately?
Could not say. But while I left the cemetery with my utensils and wax, the morning light was becoming visible.
The execution took place on the 7th of June, which had the earliest sunrise that year.
Indeed it did. The first light would have been around 4:40 in the morning. That is really early.
The fact is, I had very little time, so I finished my work in a half hour.
It was necessary to complete the impression.
Sorry. I just wanted to put you at it.
And bury the body before daybreak, of course.
Oh, I was really close to starting to talk right there.
If somebody had discovered there, it would have been a catastrophe, so I had to hurry.
Is it me, or does Mr. Schlump seem to be taking shape more quickly now, too? You certainly appear to go the extraordinary lengths for your work, madame. I wonder, is that what she said particularly significant? I don't know, Renosuke. I'm just gonna say that. Blah, 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 blah.
As much as you do.
Madame, all that shit. Could you include that in your testimony?
Of course, if you would like me to. She's stabbing into that.
You're quite right, Mr. Norfolk. It is intriguing. The sunrise at 4 in the morning is absolutely unimaginable at home, wouldn't it?
That's not quite what I meant by significant. Finally amend your formal testimony then, madame.
Otto, you're supposed to be the brain cell.
You really think she has brain cells?
You're supposed to be the brain cell.
She doesn't have brain cells for me.
Okay, let's review what we just learned.
Where did you see this? I posted today.
I did. I'm the problem, it's me. He is the problem, though.
Also, and
Loading. Who do you think the colors are?
So that's all I have to go on. What's your feeling, Mr. Naruto? For some reason, Dr. Scythe went along with Jepper's plan. Now, if that's really true, then the professor's the only other thing we know that links the pair of them. I feel sure that the waxwork must be included in this mystery somehow.
In that case, we must use this cross-examination to uncover exactly what it means. Otherwise, the jurors are sure to revert their learnings and the trial will be over.
I agree, but interestingly, uncovering what the professor had to do with all this means more to Lord Van Zieks than anyone. That's the impression I'm getting at anyway.
Yes, as do I.
After all, he has a profound connection to the professor as well. Okay, I don't know where I'm going with this. Kyle!
It's not like a trending audio on my Why Is This On My For You page. Show me where this is from.
I really don't care.
Kyle!
Yeah,
Need help.
I'm working on it. I actually not sure if I remember which statement.
The
it is.
smirks at the end.
Sorry, cycle through them all again.
Okay, I'll start from the beginning then.
Watch him. His smile.
The special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on the rumor of the Shock Society in London.
Not that.
Anyway.
An impression of this is taken in accordance with spell practices. Enlisted the aid of a great diver and created a mold from the head just before the internment. It took me a very long time because of rigor mortis, and I hurried to finish my work in the half hour before sunrise, and I left as soon as the corpse was interred.
Half hour before sunrise. It was either that or this. I just can't.
Poor
remember.
man.
They literally.
Like, actually just a fucking straight up die.
Literally just watch him fall.
Oh my god. Apparently I need to finish the fucking Archon quest.
You do need to finish the fucking.
I can play Genshin.
Y'all don't y'all both need to finish the Archon quests?
I need to show you.
I
because
need to finish it more than
this-
Kevin does.
I mean, true.
This was from my sister's Halloween party on Saturday.
Oh no.
Oh,
Wait, hold on. So,
my sister's party is playing the double audio. I don't know why. I was doing
so he was hanged at midnight. And then rigor mortis takes 3 hours to set in. And then she was done before morning, and morning was around 4 a.m. So, no, that kind of checks out actually. Or does it? Kyle? I think realistically,
Open the autopsy
Mhm.
report.
yeah, he was death by hanging at midnight, the 17th of June.
Because didn't they already specify he was buried like immediately after death?
Did they?
I thought they did. Because if so, then timeline from the autopsy report does not match.
I listed the grade and created a mold for the head just before the internment. It took me a very long time because of it was before the onset. So it was before the onset of rigor mortis. And
So
then
dead less than 3 hours.
yeah, and then she left right after before half an hour. She finished in half hour before sunrise. So that'd be 3:30ish in the morning.
Yeah. So present the autopsy report.
right
all
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Objection.
No, Kyle, you fucked me up.
What?
Yeah, rip.
I could have sworn that was it.
Are you sure it was maybe that?
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, looks like we're running with one less star under our belt.
Objection.
Okay, that was the other one, Kyle. Hey, the two ladies who are looking on their phones! And Madame Suspel. I have an autopsy report that was filed 10 years ago now. Confirms the death of the professor.
Are y'all still sipping over Alhaitham?
I think they are. I'm pretty sure they are.
This is for my sister's Halloween party.
Oh no.
Confirms the death of the professor following his execution at the gallows. Just gonna quickly mute for a brief second. Sorry. Kyle, just let me know if they signal me to let them back in. And that's a problem. I believe it is because your testimony and a particular detail in the report completely contradicts one another.
Forty spies.
What?
Are you going to explain yourself, my Nepalese friend?
Well, according to her testimony, Madison Cell was creating her. Oh, no. Ah! According to her testimony, Madame Spell was creating her wax compression just before dawn, and at that time, rigor mortis had not yet set in. Am I correct so far, Madame?
You are, yes. As I said, the the jaw is the first sign of rigor mortis, 2 to 3 hours after death. But the man's chin was limp, so he could not have been dead for a long time.
But on the other hand, if you look at Dr. Seiss' report, it quite clearly states the following. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight the 17th of June.
No.
If the professor did indeed die at midnight that day, then by the time you were sculpting his face, rigor mortis would have already set in.
Oui, yes, you are right. The chin would have been completely stiff.
In other words, this report is bullshit!
No coroner makes mistakes when recording the time of death. The very idea is absurd.
Yes,
In that case, there's only one possible conclusion. The execution didn't actually take place at the stated time! And that's bullshit!
I'm impossible.
I'm impossible? Did you say I'm impossible? Sorry, did you just say I'm He said impossible.
I meant to say
He said I heard I'm impossible. Well, you know that's fair. I'm sure that's pretty fair. I am impossible. Well, that's fair.
No, that is what we call a logical paradox, therefore we win.
Yeah.
It's a paradox. Google it. Householder, this is beyond folly. Not only did you inject the officer to report Dr. Side, but you also implicated the medics and staff at Barclay Prison when the execution took place. By fuck! Extraordinary!
My learned friend appears to have overlooked one very crucial fact.
What's fact?
The professor died that night without question.
he did. Of course he did. I moved the lamb's limb jaw with my own hands. There was the...
I object! Yes, the professor died that night. But what if he didn't die at the gallows?
He didn't die at... Are you insane? What exactly are you suggesting did happen in that case?
It's almost impossible to believe, but it would explain the link between Dr. Scythe, the professor, and that one other person of interest. I have evidence that will explain exactly what I'm talking about.
Do you?
Oh, please present the evidence.
Taking more and more cocaine every second.
It's 1800. It doesn't matter. What would be the evidence? Kyle, anything?
I do not remember. 10-year article?
The 10-year-old article? Resurrection. Oh, really? What happened that night is written plainly in this newspaper article. The executed criminal returns in the dead of night at local cemetery.
You're suggesting it was a corpse coming back from the dead now?
Well, if this article is to believe, yes. The professor, assumed dead following his execution, emerged from his grave and was killed again!
Don't be a fool, that's simply a rumor, published by the gutter press.
Can you be certain of that?
Are you serious?
The point is, as the article says, there was a witness to what happened. Yes, I did!
Mary, the young man who stole the... Oh, wait. Okay.
Of course there was a witness. The story didn't write itself. But obviously the man made it all up.
And in any case, this was 10 years ago now. There would surely be no hope of finding him. On the contrary, Note, we all know this witness well. Are you guys idiots? Are you suggesting, Council, you've identified a person? I don't know who comes to see this on me! My lord, stop taking drugs! In fact, you could say that he's right here before my very eyes. And also, these two people are laughing in the background because of the voice I just made.
No.
Can't
You woke my dad.
I'm very sorry!
You did the voice and then we had him get up and we're like, oh.
You must associate your latest crime now with that post. The man in question is Mr. Enoch Trevor.
Sounded like her entire spine just.
Trevor? The previous witness? The special exhibit in the House of Horrors at Madame Selby's in that place recreates the decade-old scene in great detail. The condemned criminal emerging from the grave, and beside the tomb, a young man with a lantern stumbling upon the terrifying sight. I have to admit, for 1800s, it's actually very well made, not gonna lie. And that young man is a 10-year younger Mr. Enoch Trevor.
Making Cammy simp for man.
Wait, what?
I don't want to simper man.
Young lady, what the hell do you think you're saying?
We're simping over here. It's okay.
I'm gay, I don't want to simper man.
Your Genshin simp is fucking Zhongli. Call her autism.
Trevor was there in the Locate Cemetery.
Trevor was there in the Locate Cemetery.
What is all this talk about Mr. Trevor? Is the name significant?
Well, no of course, Madame Suspel doesn't know, does she? Yes, it's extremely significant, madam. To your situation as well, in fact.
What situation?
The theft of the Professor Waxwork from your museum some days ago was perpetrated by the very same man.
No. But that would mean...
Madame Suspel, it would appear that you know the name, Enoch Trevor.
It's here you would know the name Enoch Trevor.
Yes, I know. But from long ago in the past.
The fuck?
Oh my.
Holy shit!
The wig just goes. Explain yourself. Tell us everything you know.
Yeah. Yes, go on.
Ah, nice. Cammy gets to say a bunch of words now.
I get to talk.
Cammy gets to speak.
The story of the young man and the terrible sight he witnessed in the cemetery 10 years ago was published in every single newspaper in London and throughout Great Britain. However, in all the articles, the witness was simply described as a certain young man. No details were published about his identity.
It's gonna cover her up for a second.
That is, apart from in one newspaper.
I'm sorry.
Dun, dun, dun.
I am on right now. It's okay. Ignore me.
Daily Circus. It is the paper from which comes the article I have already shown the court.
You're saying that his full name was only publicized in that article? Oh, holy shit! Yes, it is! The university student who experienced this shocking event is Mr. Enoch Trevor, a disciple of science at the University of London and a resident of its student. I just said that! Unbelievable!
When I read the article, I went to muddle with them.
Did it say meat? It said meat.
Oh, I thought I said model with.
No,
Oh, well.
You went to go model?
His discovery of the condemned criminal coming back to life in the dead of night
Paint me like one of your French zombies.
Would make a perfect exhibit for my House of Horrors, but is it truth or not?
That's really hard to read.
Yeah, it was like white on white, and I was like, hello?
I see. So you went to meet Mr. Drebber in order to sculpt a waxwork of the man, did you?
Exactly not. He was studying science at the University of Hampton in those. He was just a poor student.
I paid him £5 to model for the waxwork.
And since that time, it has been in my museum to recreate the scene of terror from this story.
Your Honor, stop sleeping. No one's saying anything. So, 10 years ago, a young man appealed to the public about an extraordinary event he witnessed. A criminal who had been put to death, emerging from his grave in the middle of the night. But the public treated his claim as nothing more than an amusing anecdote and was soon forgotten. 10 years later, the same man steals a wax bottle of the executed criminal. A big word to use as a body double for the victim in the case we're discussing here today. Even though the waxwork's build is a poor match for the victim, and its face is obscured by a mask. So, the question is, why would the man do such a thing? Which brings us to 3 days ago when the birdcage crashed into the Crystal Tower. If the birdcage had in fact contained not the body of Mr. Assman, but that same waxwork, the coroner from Scotland Yard who investigated Dr. Scythe, Dr. Scythe, would have noticed immediately. And yet, she submitted this autopsy report for the victim, which the court had seen earlier. Why?
Because the waxwork was that of the professor, is that what you're saying?
Dr. Scythe put her name to a document confirming the death of a condemned criminal who was still alive. A criminal whose apparent resurrection was witnessed by Mr. Drebber. But that misconduct was a deadly secret the coroner would do anything to protect. Which is precisely why Mr. Drebber used that particular waxwork as a body double. Click, click, click. Oh. My lord! This court must summon Dr. Scythe to the stand. Defense is determined to find out exactly how the coroner and Mr. Drebber are connected. But according to the missive I received from this morning through the prosecutor's office, Dr. Scythe is unable to participate in these proceedings. Is that not the case?
She told us so herself, didn't she?
Flashback! Flashback over. Something happened on the night of that killer's execution 10 years ago. And surely nobody would want to get to the bottom of that more than the lad himself, Lord Van Zeeks.
Surely something happened.
You guys are like, something happened to Cammy, like, behind her breath. I was like, oh, she fucked him.
Oh no, Van Zeeks is actually considering that thought.
Right?
He's like, oh no, what the hell did I just implicate? Did mommy and daddy actually fuck?
Yikes.
The prosecution calls for the instructions in that missive to be scrapped.
Aha. But for Lord Van Zeeks, the missive was issued from the Lord Chief Justice's office.
The assigned prosecutor has the final say on policy in any particular trial. In other words, me.
He just wants to know.
You know?
He's helping.
Letternock, Drebber, and Dr. Scythe both take a stand
No,
together.
he's just like, I'm in this deep.
We're
Might as well
all
keep
in
going.
this together.
Not fucking together.
Copyright! Copyright!
I don't know if our horrible scene would count as copyright.
You'd be surprised. Twitch is quite strict. I think even more stricter than YouTube.
They still shouldn't be that strict.
You'd be surprised.
Since it's like a play that you can do in middle school, I think we're okay.
If they were that strict, I'm pretty sure Twitch wouldn't be operating as a platform anymore because people would leave.
Yeah.
That is true. Very well, I will uphold your request. Well, I've sent us a bit of an effect to.
Thank you, Judge.
All right then. The judge is having a stroke. That's very useful.
No.
Anyway.
His wig isn't a wig. It's just all solidified cocaine. That's why.
That's why his wig keeps shifting. It's this cocaine that.
It's his secret stash. He can't let anyone see it.
Yeah. Well, if they weren't colluding with one another, this crime could have never been committed. I'm just a stone's throw away. I can feel it. Truth behind all of this is about to come out. Oh, she's still there. She's still there.
And I can take over one of them.
We'll just keep talking.
Okay. Thank you for your attendance at such short notice, Dr. Scythe.
I'm disappointed in you, Lord Ramsay. You've completely betrayed the agreed policy of both Scotland Yard and the prosecutor's office.
Betrayal is not in my nature as long as the truth isn't compromised. If it is, if there's even a hint of wrongdoing, then no matter whom it concerns or disgruntles,
King.
I will pursue the matter to the bitter end, as would any prosecutor worth his salt.
King.
You just called him a dick, not who
He's King Dick, obviously.
Mr. Drebber, you took the victim's life by means of a machine that you constructed in your workshop. And you also fucked this lady too, didn't you? And Dr. Scythe, as the investigating coroner, you were the first on the scene to examine the victim's body. It is the belief of the defense that you collaborated with each other and both were complicit in this crime. And I repeat, in the defense's opinion, you both fucked.
And where's your evidence?
Look no further, Prosecutor Van Zeeks. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There's no resemblance there. Anyway, or maybe there is.
Jesus.
Cammy, you presented this.
Having a total conniption on the other side of the bench.
At present, we have no definitive evidence, but we do have a very significant clue.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
I'm talking, of course, about the waxwork. This model of the killer known as the Professor, who was sentenced to death 10 years ago.
You good over there?
You don't need to tell me.
Salt. We'll get more, it's okay.
I witnessed the man's execution with my own eyes and officially pronounced him dead.
That remains to be seen.
We'll get more.
I know.
My uncle will make your reaction, it's okay.
Is that so?
According to newspaper reports from the time on the night following his execution, he regenerated.
Don't waste my time.
And the sole witness to that mysterious event is you, Mr. Drebber, wasn't it? If what you saw in the graveyard that night 10 years ago wasn't some chilling fiction, but reality, it'd make your privy to a very great secret of Dr. Scythe's. A secret so profound it could only could compel the coroner to agree to collaborate with you in your evil scheme, in fact. So you're not denying you also fucked her. Mr. Drebber, tell the court, did you fuck this lady? Tell everyone the truth. of what you saw that night in the Little Gate Cemetery and what you did 2 nights ago. So here's the serious inside. You can see the resemblance actually, can't you? With the man in Ms. M's spells on me. Surely he's not going to claim that he's not what he really saw, especially not after all these years. Coin, 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 coin.
Bit too clever for a certain girl to trust me.
Wait, who's doing
What
this?
an interesting twist.
Oh, come on, let Kyle say something at least. He's been silent this entire trial. I was gonna do Trevor as well, but I'm like, nah, let's let Kyle say something. He hasn't said anything for a while.
I wasn't sure what the fuck was going on, so I just didn't say anything.
Kyle, he's yours.
Okay. When, at the time, not one person would take me seriously. Yet now here we are, 10 years later, and suddenly my story matters. And in a court of law, too.
What the fuck?
Very well then, if everyone so wishes.
Iron Man. I was gonna say, Iron Man, you doing okay there?
Let's be frank. I'll tell you the truth of what happened that night, for what it's worth.
So, Mr. Trevor, your testimony, please, about the events of that night and 10 years ago. You will tell the court exactly what you stumbled across in Lowgate Cemetery, and what you did 2 nights ago.
Yes, of course. As you wish.
That's how my bones feel. Legit.
Loki, I'm just calling this guy Iron Man now. Sorry, Bronze Man.
I mean, you're not terribly wrong. The reason I was in Lowgate Cemetery at all 10 years ago was for a spot of moonlighting, shall we say. Yes, the illustration in that newspaper article was based on what I witnessed that night. But thinking back now, I realized that I never actually saw the professor. Soon afterwards, I was visited by a young woman who sculpted a model of me from wax. Then I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist, and it was all because of that newspaper article.
Yes, it's all going downhill. Wait a minute, you're bullshitting us all now?
Of course. You'd have to have screw loose if you believed the corpse could come back from the dead.
But, so you're saying this article is...
Not with the paper it's printed on. I think that would describe it perfectly, yes.
Ah.
If the details in the article aren't true, it nullifies your argument for why Mr. Trevor and Dr. Scythe would have been working together.
So he's discrediting himself to cripple my argument? Tell me, witness. You claim to have been in the cemetery on some auxiliary business. Can you elaborate?
That's right. Grave robbing, to be precise. As you know, Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison. So, among students at the university, it had a reputation for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts.
Grave robbing, you say?
Yes, exhuming fresh corpses to sell is reasonably lucrative.
I want to throw it out there that this is like the late 1800s, so yeah.
Of course, I never laid a finger on any valuables buried with the dead.
So you're one of the so-called resurrectionists. A particularly unpleasant scourge on society.
Actually, My fellows and I went by another name, the Repurposers.
That is quite beyond the pale. You wouldn't invite divine retribution, sir!
Yes, well, I think I suffered retribution enough. The Daily Circus eventually unearthed my name and put it in print. It caused me a great many headaches. In the end, I had to leave the university. And that was the only paper with the bad grace to identify me unambiguously, I might add.
I see, so you sued them.
Out of interest, who drew the illustration for this article?
Ah, yes. That was the reporter who exposed me. He sketched that right in front of me as I described the scene. Obviously, as time ticked on, I bitterly regretted what I'd done. Claiming to have seen something I never truly saw. Foolish. Very foolish.
Hmm. Well, do stuff. Oh, I didn't know I could fast forward that now. Oh, that's useful.
The more you know.
By moonlighting, you mean grave robbing, do you?
Surely you will need to look at the graveyard scene in my appearance to gauge the answer to that.
Oh, she's not carving anymore. But who on earth would want to buy a dead body?
Any major hospital.
A hospital?
In order to better understand the human body, the study of anatomy is crucial to medical science. But there isn't a hospital in the world that has more specimens to work with. So obviously, can't openly express an interest in obtaining more by duty.
As aspiring scientists, we young research students had no money to work with, as I'm sure you can imagine. So we made surreptitious arrangements with the hospital via some of our medical student acquaintances. We would never take anything of value from the graves. This was all for the furtherance of science, you see. And that's what we all told ourselves every time we stole into the graveyard at night, spade in hand.
You realize body snatching is a serious crime. If you were caught, you could expect the gravest consequences.
We students were caught between the hammer and the anvil. We needed funds for research.
Professor Hairbrain said exactly the same. I'm quite speechless at the apparent levity with which you've revealed this abhorrent behavior.
Well, if you wanted to know why I was there at Lowgate Cemetery, that's the reason. But I never expected it to end the way it did. That I regret to this day.
The strange happening at Lowgate Cemetery, which you now deny.
Not entirely. I ran to fetch the police at the time, you know. I was shaking like a leaf. But they didn't believe a word of it. In fact, I was very nearly arrested myself.
So you went to the papers instead?
I started big with London News, but unsurprisingly, they didn't want to know either. In the end, though, it was reporters from the gossip rags, the gutter press, that came to get my story. And it spread like the plague through the capital, as gossip-hungry Londoners lapped up the tale. Are you okay over there? You sound like you're having an existential crisis.
The story was in every single paper at the time, with the exception of some broadsheets. I forgot that it was Thirsty Thursday, so...
Okay.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
what you were reading now.
We need to move to the
Yeah.
forest.
Yeah, there's some bad ones today.
Horny.
There's some
Like-
real bad ones today.
In need of a hung man to stretch my walls out and leave me looking like a Twinkie.
It's like, need someone to keep me warm.
Censor! Censor!
Too late. And yet, only 2 or 3 of them actually interviewed me personally. Most of the accounts turned out to be very interpretive ghost stories.
What about the article in the Daily Circus?
I can't send videos on Tinder.
I think they're talking off of Tinder.
They're probably on Snap. Yeah. Oh my god. Imagine. Could you just why?
No, I
Why
would
is
be.
that- why would-
No.
Okay, guys. As men with penises, what is it that
Oh, dun, dun. All right, there you go. Sorry, that was not definitely 100% safe for work.
Yes. We'll go with that. Thirsty Thursdays.
The first Thirsty Thursday of November. Of course, it's gonna be wild.
You're right. Oh my god.
Yep.
Oh my god. I'm so excited to see the Thirsty Thursdays for No Nut November, actually.
These are the first
No,
ones.
but like, I'm excited to see the more of them.
Oh, it's probably gonna be just as bad. Anywho, I don't know how, but he discovered my name. So I recounted to him exactly what had happened that night.
And from your description, he drew this illustration.
Precisely. That's how I learned that the condemned man was the infamous professor.
Wait, he drew that? Okay, yeah, I will admit oh, yeah.
You with Alhaitham.
I think
Worst part is, I think I know exactly which tell you just read.
Maybe. I'll send it to you. Okay.
I mean, I've read most of them already, so I could probably find it.
Newspapers reporters.
Yeah, no, I saw that earlier.
Wait, what Vince? Newspapers reporters are wont to snoop around in matters that don't concern them.
Or won't?
Are want. Won't?
Won't?
Won't? Want? Won't? Won't? Newspapers reporters are
Want?
Won't?
Won't?
What is won't?
English?
Okay. So the scene is portrayed in it. Illustration is accurate.
Well... Hold it!
What are you talking about?
I think I explained already, didn't I? Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison. So was renowned among the students at the university for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts. For some absurd reason, I was scared of the graveyard at night. And as a result, only too willing to believe that nonsense about the dead coming back to life.
But you said you actually saw it.
I said what I'd seen in my mind's eye. After all, resurrection is impossible, isn't it? You'd have to be unhinged to think otherwise.
That face you're making makes me
Unless, of course, you have some evidence that proves I encountered the professor that night.
I don't know. Is there any material evidence that could show he really did see the professor?
If we have anything at all, Mr. Naruto.
Yeah, I know. I need to present it against that irritating backtracking statement of his.
The point is, that night was a pivotal moment in my life.
Hold it!
That young woman being Madame Suspel, of course.
Precisely. I must say, I didn't expect to run into her again like this 10 years later.
Gimme.
Oh, as I have explained, I went by the name published in the article and found the man.
Yeah, the article in the Daily Circus, I think you said.
I was a poor student with barely a penny to my name at the time. And the young lady put £5 in front of me.
So you wrote it because essentially having a waxwork with yourself gave permission for it to be put on display.
I did. I should sell what little I had to sell, I concluded.
Fair. I remember now. I purchased something else from you that day. C'est bon?
Did you? I can't say I remember.
What is it, Madame?
His camera.
Ah.
Oh yes, I made a point of taking it with me whenever I made an excursion into any cemetery.
You took a camera with you, sir. To what end?
To record the details of the bodies I disinterred. But I had no intention of ever visiting a graveyard again after that night, so I sold it.
I see.
But it's the ribbon, monsieur. It is part of the special exhibit in my house of horrors. I'm very meticulous about such details. It is the Tuspel's way.
It would seem then that this is the very camera Mr. Drover took with to locate cemetery on the night in question.
Yes, interesting.
Didn't we look at that camera and there was nothing in it? Like when we were in the
I don't remember.
like in the exhibit, I think we were looking it up.
Yeah, it was blood on the side.
Yeah, and then but there was like nothing in the camera itself.
Yeah, there's no photographic plate in there.
Yeah.
But the blood.
That's suspicious. Okay.
Objection!
Nope, that's wrong. Oh, that's wrong.
That's wrong. Oh no.
Hold it!
Oh. Imagine doing that in like actual court. Just being like, objection. Wait.
Wait, rewind the tape. This article, you mean, published by in Daily Circus?
Yes, somebody informed the dean that it was my name that appeared in the article. And carelessly let slip that night after night. I was digging up graves. Hardly a model student, you might say. The university's reputation was execrably defiled, and I was expelled as a result.
Oh, me too. I had no idea.
And having been run out of university, you found the specialist trade.
You combined your knowledge of science with the knowledge of stage magic to create various experimental machines intended to demonstrate never-before-seen technology. You used those deceptive machines to trick the government and private investors into giving you money.
Hello.
Professor Albert Hairbrain was just your latest victim, wasn't he?
Whatever are you talking about? I have no recollection of doing anything of the sort.
She had something to say. What's Trevor up to? Why would he suddenly change his tune and recant his claim?
I wonder if perhaps it's because his circumstances have changed now.
What circumstances?
Well, he admits to having seen the professor mention an off in his grave 10 years ago. It will expose his secret in Dr. Seth's past that she would desperately want to hide.
Yes, of course. If Trevor and Dr. Seth were working together now, then if Trevor were to betray her, there would be no reason for her to continue to cooperate. And also, they definitely fucked. In that case, there's only one way around it. I'll have to prove it he really did see it. Prove it he really did see the professor's corpse coming back from the grave as he originally claimed.
From 10 years ago.
Yes, Mr. Naruto, exactly.
Did you, Kyle? Anything?
It's like, yeah, we're just out of
I'm trying to. Kyle? Anything? I'm drawing a blank.
I think it's the statement about him meeting a professor. Otherwise, I don't actually remember.
So he did actually see the professor, but I just need to find out what evidence he to present.
Yeah, keyword I think, because I don't actually remember for sure.
my white noise. Snoring.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Trevor, but I think that's bullshit.
Bullshit.
No, the fuck did you say?
Your latest claim. You fucking did see the professor, you dickhead, 10 years ago.
Oh dear, we seem to be at odds. But I was there, and you were not. I know what I didn't see. Bitch.
The illustration with this article was drawn based upon what you told the journalist that you witnessed. A figure emerging from a tomb, wearing an iron mask.
Yes, when the killer was tried 10 years ago, it was decided in the close court room that the man would wear the mask to hide his identity.
It's an odd thing to do.
It wasn't to be removed even during his execution, and it's a kind of barrier.
Not even the prison wardens were to see the man's face. But obviously, the provision of this mask was not public knowledge. So, Mr. Trevor, as you've just heard, a lowly student of the University of London certainly would have known about the condemned man's mask. So unless he'd actually seen the professor that night, it's inconceivable that the artist would have included the mask in the illustration. Well, Mr. Trevor,
My wife, and then I have my baby wife. Which is AJ.
It's a vile scene, isn't it, if you look closely? And as I've already been at pains to point out, I was utterly petrified. Which is why I had it in my head that I'd seen such a blood-curdling sight. But afterwards, I came to my senses, and realized that I'd been mistaken.
You're still saying you didn't see it, you dick?
If you're stubbornly sticking to that story, witness, then amend your testimony to explain exactly how you think your eyes deceived you.
Of course, of course. Only too happy to oblige.
I can't believe he's still not going to concede the point. The dickhead.
Classic narcissism.
Does this look like the face of a man with sanity to you?
A fellow grave robber? What are you talking about?
Well, I wasn't the only one busy in the cemetery that night, you know. All other body snatchers were at work.
You were fucking her, weren't you? No? No? I'm still not getting anywhere with that?
Beg your fucking pardon?
Your fucking mom. Rhino status isn't part of what's happening.
Of course, when I saw one emerging from the hole he dug, my heart very nearly stopped. So that's the terrifying sight I actually saw, you see.
You're claiming it was just another student who in
Insalubrious, I think.
I can't say that.
I mean, you could alternatively just say, big word.
I noticed what this one was called when I was sending it to myself, and then I wanted to see who was in it.
Are you adding yourself to Patui Sexies?
I should.
No, we're unless want to cooperate the Patui with us.
Sure.
Okay, well yeah.
Mute.
Oops. Many of the medical students would wear metal masks to protect them from bacteria during dissections. Clearly, the fellow was using such a mask to protect his anonymity, wouldn't you say?
But there's more to the story, isn't there? The article goes on to say, the next second the gunshot rang out suddenly from behind. Blah 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 blah. Might assume that the sexton discovered the miscreants at work, perhaps, and fired upon one of them. If a grave digger had shot someone in the cemetery, I think it might have been rather big news, my lord. Oh, yes, well...
I can only assume it was an embellishment bolted on later by the reporter.
Just fucking...
Stress chiseling.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Especially Herlock. We all have
Excuse me! Madame. Don't take it. Madame, one thing. Please don't take it on, Mr. Slomes.
Pardon. I was lost in my thoughts.
Would it be fair to say that Mr. Drebber's last remark was significant to you in some way?
I thought it was a little strange, that is all. How Monsieur Drebber could claim this now.
If you don't mind me saying, madam, what are you talking about?
Sir, you have the big case of the amnesias. And the
Yes,
brain
it's
loss.
just you're about to die by his gaze.
Oh, please. That's not deadly gaze.
That has to be like the most intense case of resting bitch face I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
An ace attorney.
You clearly have not seen Mr. Prosecutor Blackwell yet.
Blackwell doesn't exist for another how many years? He doesn't count.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say, just like the doctor has his attack eyebrows, Prosecutor Blackwell has his death glare.
Well, when I met you 10 years ago at your university, you told me to hurry. You recounted to me about your adventures in the cemetery, no? Including the gunshot.
Stop. You might want to watch your tongue, you know.
Have a care, Drubber. That's no way to speak to a lady king.
Please, Madam Spells, carry on.
Of course. According to what Monsieur Grepper told me at the time, he did hear a gunshot from behind him and hit the condemned man.
I said nothing of the sort.
No, you were very explicit about the details. About the mask that the victim was wearing. And blood that splattered over you when he was shot.
Enough! Shut up, woman. You're making this all up.
That will do! Mr. Drubber,
Yes?
you refute the account that was just given by Madame Spell?
I have no recollection of ever saying those things.
Come on! You really expect us to believe it? Control yourself, counsel. I will not permit baseless accusations in my courtroom. I wanted to
Yeah,
swear.
the judge actually having a spine for once.
Right.
Damn.
Under the circumstances, I think it's best that you supplement your testimony with a statement to clarify your position on this witness.
Very well. There was no gunshot from behind me at all, nor any spattering blood.
Isn't the camera who should have blood in it?
I don't know. Did it?
Objection!
Mr. Dribber, do you see this photograph of a camera?
It makes me laugh.
Ha, ha, ha.
But that is the camera from the fateful night.
Yes, we borrowed it from the House of Horrors. It's the camera you took with you to the cemetery that night, Mr. Dribber.
And? Is that supposed to be significant?
This kind of camera is rarely seen in our homeland, so my colleague and I were keen to examine it closely. We noticed that the lens extends forwards on the end of some bellows. Like this.
Hold it!
Oh, he has a hold it! I
What's
never heard that before.
Just on the bellows.
I was about to get to that. Thank you, Van Zeeks.
It looks like dark red stain.
That's right. It's a rather conspicuous mark here in the bellows, in fact. Good lord! I'm still on drugs! Yes, my lord. It would appear to be that you are still on drugs. And that is a splatter of blood.
Something that could be confirmed with a simple chemical test. Isn't that right, Dr. Scythe?
Ah.
It would be difficult to determine if it was human blood and not the blood of some animal. But yes, to test whether or not it's blood at all is simple enough.
I propose that Madame Spell's testimony was correct. And on the night in question 10 years ago, you were splattered with blood from the gunshot wound.
Well,
And that furthermore, you really did witness the condemned professor emerging from his tomb.
Just broke your goddamn neck.
There's simply no way you could have forgotten such a traumatic experience. Yes, there is. It's called PTSD, man.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that hasn't been invented yet.
Your brain
What? Hold up, what? Did you just say PTSD hasn't been invented yet?
I didn't.
I did.
Andrew.
I did. But I mean, like, okay, we know it. We know it's a real thing. I'm not denying it's a real thing. But I mean,
Yeah, he is correct.
technically in this context, it hasn't been invented. It hasn't been discovered.
You're not wrong, but like I just wasn't expecting that.
Hasn't been invented yet.
In other words, the only explanation is that PTSD has not been invented yet. Is that you're trying to hide the fact that you saw the professor that night as well. But why? Why would he want to do that? Well, not for his own gain, but it would seem. For whose then? Whose could benefit?
Who could benefit? I was back, bitch.
Mr. Trevor was obviously lying in order to protect somebody. My goodness! I'm tripping out, man!
Oh, hey, fucking.
Yes, my lord, you're clearly tripping out. It's someone who doesn't want the truth about the professor coming back to life to be exposed. Well, counsel, who was it then? Who is the witness you were trying to protect by lying about what he saw that night? I think I know the answer. Who is it? Courtney? I think I'm right. The obvious answer is Dr. Scythe. Whatever do you mean? Imagine if the convict who had been sentenced to death was not in fact killed. Imagine if that was to come to light.
What are you insinuating?
And imagine if the convict concussion was the country's most hated mass murderer. If it was the professor. That would be an unprecedented scandal!
This is beyond a joke. Need I point out that the dead cannot come back to life? What your suggestion would mean that the execution never actually happened.
Yes, that's exactly what it would mean.
Once a man is sent to the gallows, he hangs. No one could escape, not in Great Britain.
But the fact is, there was a witness to that fact that the man did escape his hanging. If that were really true, counsel, the implications of this misconduct would not stop at the supervising coroner. It would taint the honor of the entire judiciary from the ground up. And it's exactly because of those monumental repercussions that Dr. Scythe would consent to any demand made of her by someone who threatened to expose the secret. Even if that meant being complicit in the crime. You mean... I mean that Dr. Scythe wasn't collaborating with Mr. Drebber's wicked scheme. She was coerced into collaborating in order to protect her decade-old secret. She switched the dead body of Mr. Asmund with the waxwork model and fabricated the autopsy report. I didn't pick up. Oh, the light came out. The light came. Oh no! Like Van Zeek's.
Pray forgive my freshly filled hollow chalice. A whole raft of other discourtesies now.
Holy shit! I'm tripping out.
It's just that the sort of tall tale Londoners would enjoy, I grant you. An executed killer rising from the dead. A Scotland Yard cover-up. A conspiracy at the highest levels. So let me ask you on one thing.
What's that?
If the condemned man really did emerge from his tomb that night only to be shot in the chest, who pulled the trigger and disposed of him forever?
Well, I have no idea at the moment.
We trying to work that out at present, I think.
I couldn't agree more.
The Old Bailey is no place for wild fantasies.
Uh,
And have you considered this, my mountain of beneath?
considered what?
Do you realize just what a dangerous endeavor it would be to coerce this woman into such criminal activity? It's tantamount to declaring war on the entire British police force and judiciary. Blah.
Quite. Hard to imagine any sum of money being offered for research that could warrant it. To rely on some status happen with so much as a stake would be madness. Well, I suppose.
And this wasn't no petty crime either. The victim was murdered. A man who'd already invested money in the venture and would be instrumental in future profits too.
Yes, I had no reason to kill Mr. Osmond. Or are you forgetting that his death results in me receiving not a single penny? The court is already aware of the contract between myself and the victim, no?
There is a contract. That's very true. Let me guess. The motive for this case runs deep, though. I can feel it.
It's the first head of the forensic investigation team to cooperate is extreme. Especially for a government grant. Especially for a government grant he had no guarantee of receiving in the first place.
If the research grant was the aim, taking Mr. Aspen's life would have made no sense anyway. Which means Mr. Jabber's motive wasn't money at all. He was just trying to kill Mr. Aspen. But why? What was his motive then?
Your time is up, my learned friend. I'd say you have one last chance before the jury lose their patience with the charade. Let's see if you can back up your heady proposal, shall we? Heady proposal.
Oh, he just dodged that.
Oh my god.
How do you explain?
If you can dodge a wine glass, you can dodge a ball.
How do you explain why this engineer would throw all caution to the wind and threaten things on the country? He's so used to
At this point, I'm not prepared to listen to more of this outlandish contractor without proof. So, counsel, present your evidence. Alright, who exactly was Mr. Asmund to Drebber? There's a connection there that no one's seen yet, and I'm going to have to present 2 pieces of evidence to show what it is. Ow! Yes, my lord. The evidence established the motive and explains by the witness. What do I present first? Because I have to present.
I don't entirely know if it matters, if the order matters or not.
So, obviously, by looking at this, I can see his signature right there.
Yeah.
So that's a motive that he could have lost his life. But that's not enough to substantiate why he would want to. But the investor, Mr. Drebber, only read blah 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 blah. I'm trying to think. Would it be these two then?
I'm pretty sure it is, actually.
I think it is.
It's this newspaper article, my lord.
That was written 10 years ago, and every detail has been examined already. What can it possibly tell us?
That drivel should have never been written. It's typical gutter press nonsense that means nothing.
Yes, on its own it isn't particularly significant. However, when considered alongside another piece of evidence, it would completely explain your motive for wanting to kill Mr. Asman.
What other evidence?
Counsel, present your second piece of evidence. Should be the contract, right?
Should be, yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna present it then. It's this contract, my lord. Mr. Drebber, this is the contract you signed with Mr. Asman.
Yes, that's right. The very document, in fact. That proves I had no reason to kill the man.
No, I'm afraid not.
My PC is gonna die.
Ruh-roh.
There's something very significant that this newspaper article and the contract have in common. Really? And it's that common link. Please, dude, at least be more straight with this. It seems the defense has uncovered something the rest of us have missed. So, my learned friend, point out what these two pieces of evidence have in common. Where exactly is the link? One. What these two pieces of evidence have in common is a signature. A signature? The signature on the illustration that accompanies the 10-year-old article and the signature in the contract belong to the same person.
What?
As the court has heard, this illustration was drawn 10 years ago by the newspaper reporter who found Mr. Jebber and interviewed him about his ordeal. If you look closely, the reporter's signature can be seen in the bottom right corner of the drawing. I noticed that like right away, dude. And if you look at the contract here, which was signed between the witness and the victim last year, you can clearly see Mr. Asman's signature at the bottom. Let me see now. Good lord, yes! I'm tripping out like crazy! In short, the journalist who drew the illustration and wrote the article published about Mr. Jebber 10 years ago was the victim of this case, Mr. Odie Asman. Oh, he fell down.
Oh, his legs don't work no more.
Oh, it's good. They're gonna tell because we have paper advice. No.
But explain to the court why. Why would it not constitute motive for the witness to murder Aslan?
Yeah, that's a good question for next time.
Yeah.
Late.
Next time on Ace Attorney Z.
Oh, that's fair. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.